See, in economy, this year, public finance is very, very important. There are other topics are there, but specifically, this year, public finance will become very important. And you need to know what is the reason behind it. Reason is the COVID pandemic. Okay. So, in March 2020, after the lockdown, okay, see, we are actually basically discussing budget, okay. So, before going to budget, you need to understand what happened, okay. The last budget means the last year's budget. Now, we are in 2021, okay, don't forget we are in 2021. So, the last year's budget, that is February 2020, on 1st February 2020, when the finance minister was presenting the budget, she was not knowing what is going to happen in March. Okay. So, what she presented in 1st February 2020, it didn't work out. It completely, what you can say, the budget was, you can say that it has collapsed. What all planned have to be revised many times in the entire year. Okay, so that background you need to keep in mind. And first, now this is very important, okay, on 1st February 2021, the finance minister, our finance minister will be presenting the latest budget. Okay, don't worry, we'll discuss what is budget, what all things, what all questions have been discussed, but this background you need to keep in mind, okay. So, before 1st February 2021, all the concepts related with budget and other related matters we'll be discussing, and then we will be discussing budget separately also, along with the once the finance minister present the budget. Okay, so this background you keep in mind, okay. So, what I will do is, I'll tell you what happened in 1st February and what is the current situation. You need to know the latest updates and other things, okay. So, we'll move on. And before moving on to the budget, okay, you need to have an idea. There is a relation between GDP and budget. What is GDP? It is national income. GDP is nothing but the national income of our country. See, like every individual income, our nation's income is calculated through GDP. So, see, we have a simple definition for GDP. That is also you need to have an idea. A simple definition of GDP. What is it? It is the money value. It is the money value. See, everything will be having, everything we monetarily value, na? Every goods and services, okay. So, the national income or GDP is the monetary value or money value of all the final goods and services. This word is very important. All the final goods and services produced in our country, because that is GDP. GD means domestic. Domestic means whatever is produced in our territory. In a year, we need a time. Time is 1 year. Okay, so this GDP. So everything which we are going to discuss related with budget is, there will be a connection. We will say everything in percentage of GDP. Everything will say in terms of percentage of GDP. So you will think that what is this percentage of GDP? It is in percentage of the national income, so that we can compare. So there is a relationship between GDP and budget terms. I'll come to it, okay. And there are two types of GDPs are there. Real GDP and nominal GDP. What is the difference? Is it's the same. It is only we are taking into consideration inflation factor. Okay. If we are just calculating the current prices, if you are calculating the current, what is the current prices? That is nominal GDP. If you are calculating the GDP in terms of, see, everything, if it is a monetary value, we are calculating in relation to prices only, na? We need, see, we can say that, okay, GDP, in short I will say that, okay, see, everything I am, these things will not be there in any textbook. These are all my explanation for you, okay, for you to understand, okay. So this is a simple definition, okay. I will say that, okay, GDP equals to some quantity into price. For your understanding. quantity of all the goods, all the final goods and services into prices of those goods and services. Okay. So this quantity will not change. The quantity will not change. But what will change? The prices of that thing will change. Every year prices will. See, quantity will also change. What I am saying is that, see, what I am saying, I am trying to explain you this concept. Real GDP. In real GDP, what is the difference between real GDP and nominal GDP? See, in real GDP and nominal GDP, what I am saying, quantity will not change. What will change? The prices. What will happen to, in nominal GDP, the prices will be the current year. For example, if you are taking this year, what is the current year prices? Nominal GDP. But if you are taking real GDP, means we are taking in relation to a base year. There will be a base year. Our current base year is 2011-12. So if you are taking the prices of the base year or 2011-12, that is constant price. So we have two price, constant price and current year price. What is the constant price? Base year price. So if you are taking the constant price or base year price, that is real GDP. If you are taking the current price, it is nominal GDP. So normally when we read the newspaper, okay, just 2-3 days back, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, that's ministry is very important. From the term itself, you know the function of that ministry. What it releases? It releases statistics, important statistics related with GDP and other related, all the economic important data are released by that particular ministry, very important ministry. Under that ministry, we have a very important new office. It was the National Statistics Office or National Statistical Office or NSO. So they releases the data. Okay, so just few days back, data was released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation saying that in the 2021 financial year, so we are now in which financial year? 2020-21. This is another important point to note down. I'll explain what is this 2021, because there will be some students who are entirely new to economy. How many science students are there? So you all are new to economy, right? So till now what I explained is clear, na? Okay, so this is a financial year. See, in financial year we will say 2 year will be mentioned. Why? Because the financial starts from, or financial year or fiscal year starts from 1st April to 31st March. So in order to say that, okay, it is starting from 1st April to 31st March, we require, see, 2 years are there, na? From 1st April to December, it is 1 year, and then January to March, it is another year. So that's why we are presenting it like that, okay, 2020-21. So with 31st March, this financial year will get over. Okay, so this also you keep in mind, real GDP and nominal GDP, because we are trying to connect it with budget. Okay, so the finance minister, before presenting the budget, so okay, so on 1st February 2021, on 1st February 2021, our finance minister is going to present the budget for the coming financial year. You always keep in mind. So the budget our finance minister will be presenting will be what? It will be budget. What will be the financial year? It will be 21-22. So the finance minister is estimating a projection. She cannot accurately say what it will be. It's only an estimate. Okay, for the coming financial year, this will be the budget. We'll go deep into it. Okay, so on 1st February 2021, finance minister will be presenting the budget 21-22. Okay, so in order to assist the finance minister in presenting the budget, Ministry of Statistics have to give the current year data. Current year means this 2021 data has to be given, but 2021 is not completed. Is it completed? No, 31st March. We are now in January only, January 2021. So in order to help the finance minister in presenting the budget on January 7th, that's why we are in 10th, today is 10th January. On January 7th, the first advanced estimate. I have shared you in your speed economic group. If you have time, you just read it, okay? Okay, so the first advanced estimate. So it's just again, it's an estimate, first advanced estimate for the coming financial year. So in that first advanced estimate, a data of GDP was given. So what is special about 2021 GDP data? We are in recession. Our GDP growth rate is contracted, or GDP growth rate is negative. I'll explain with this, don't worry if you have any problem. I'll come to it. I'll show you the data and then you will understand what is special about this 2021 financial year. Okay, so this is one important thing, because all the terms which I'll be discussing today, the terms like fiscal, most important term is fiscal deficit. It's in relation to percentage of GDP. It will say that it is 7% of GDP, 8% of GDP. Then you should know what is GDP now. It is calculated in relation to all the important macroeconomic indicators like current account deficit. Everything will be, we will say, in percentage of GDP only. So you need to be very clear. But in terms of budget, the percentage of GDP which we say is nominal GDP, not real GDP. Normally we use this real GDP. But in order to present the budget, Finance Minister considers nominal GDP. Just for your understanding. This background, if you are clear with this background, so there is a direct connection between the budget variables, which I will be discussing like fiscal deficit, etc., and GDP. So are you clear till now? No one is having any doubt. Is it clear now? So we'll move on. So just again, see, these facts are not at all, UPSC will never ask facts. But why I am showing these facts? For your understanding, so that it will be very clear for you. Okay, so we discussed about so just I am showing, so these are all financial year, okay, 15, 16. Just see the financial year, what I have written. I have written the absolute value of real GDP. And then I also mentioned the growth rate. This is financial year. This is the value, absolute value of real GDP. It is real GDP and it is the growth rate. This is growth rate. Okay. In 2015-16, our real GDP was 114 lakh crore. In 16-17, it is 123 lakh crore. So here there is a increase of, so our GDP. So we will never, actually in newspaper they will never say this absolute value, they will not say. They will only say percentage. They will say that in 16-17 GDP has grown by 8.3%. Okay, these questions they will ask. How they ask questions in life from here? This is a trend, GDP growth rate. They will not ask you which financial year, what is the growth rate. They will not ask you. What they will ask you? They will say that in the last 5 years or in the last decade, GDP growth was steadily increasing or steadily decreasing. Both the statements are wrong. That type of question only UPSC will ask. You can see similarly, they have asked a question regarding fiscal deficit. So we'll see that. They said that fiscal deficit has steadily increased. But it has not increased. We'll see it. So you need to know the pattern of question. How UPSC asks question from each topic from public finance or for any other topic. Okay. So be very clear. Okay. So it was growing. GDP we were growing. Okay. 15-16 was a good financial year. Why? GDP growth rate was 8%. 16-17 was a good year. Growth rate was 8.3. But 17-18 what happened? It started showing sign of, see, GDP growth rate was growing. Suddenly, it started decreasing. Growth rate started decreasing. Not GDP value. Real GDP value is increasing. But growth rate started from 8.3%. It started declining to 7%. Which financial year? 17-18. 7% also, 7% GDP growth rate also fine, no problem. But what happened in 1890? Again, it declined 6.1. In 1920, again it declined. How much? 4.2. What is the real GDP in 1819? 143 lakh crore. What is this phenomena is called as? This is a phenomena. Slowdown. This is UPSC asked this question. What is slowdown? If there is fall in GDP growth rate, if the GDP growth rate is declining, that is called as slowdown. And if the GDP growth rate turns negative, that phenomenon is called as recession. What is specialty about 2021? We are in recession. So in the in January 7th, first advanced estimate, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is projecting that in this financial year, that is in 2021, GDP will contract. Contract means negative growth. GDP will contract how much? 7.7%. This is only an estimate. Again in February 26, there will be second advanced estimate. They will get more data. See, the first advanced estimate is based on the first 7 months of this financial year. Why they are doing it? To help the finance minister. So second advanced estimate will be, so like that, then once the financial year get over, we'll come with the revised estimate. Okay. Anyway, so 2021, so that's why I told you, since 2021 financial year we had recession, okay. The technical definition of recession is 2 quarters negative growth rate, 2 consecutive quarters negative growth rate. So we had in the financial year 2021 quarter 1, there was the 23.9%. Why? This quarter only lockdown. 3 months we were at home only. Okay, March it started, but April, May, June we are almost doing nothing. Okay, but in quarter 2 we started improving, but in quarter 2 also, quarter 1 is April, May, June, quarter 2 is next 3 months. So there also there was negative growth rate, minus 7.5%. So 2 consecutive quarters, if any economy, if 2 consecutive quarters there is negative growth rate, we can call that economy, we'll say that economy is in recession. So we are in recession. So third quarter we don't know, even though third quarter December, it's our data will get only after 2 months. So it's saying that third quarter also we will have negative growth rate, but in fourth quarter of this financial year, it will turn positive. But overall, that financial year it will be negative growth rate. What is their overall growth? Negative 7.7%. That's the current estimate. I told you this is only an estimate. It will be revised. They will not ask for the factual value. They will only ask the trend. They will say that in the financial year, the first 2 quarter was negative or contracted, or the first 3. Once the third quarter data is available, they will say that in the first 3 quarter it was negative or contracted or expanded. Expanded means it's a wrong statement. So like that you have to be very careful about it. Okay. So now you see, now another interesting thing in national income, there was a question. Okay, see 1920 and 2021 real GDP absolute value. See, till here it was increasing only. Here it is 143 lakh crore. Here it is. So when it is negative growth rate compared to the previous year, real GDP value will also decrease. Okay, so in recession, what will happen to the real GDP value? It will decrease in value also. But if it is in slowdown, it will not decrease. Because it is still positive, growth rate is positive, but it is lowering. So for that, this data will help you to understand. Growth rate is increasing only, na? These are all increased. There is no, I am not mentioned. Where I mentioned negative? Here only it is negative. Here it's all positive only. maybe this is an approximate value. Don't go by the calculation. It's an approximate value. I'm just saying that, see, every time GDP is calculated compared to the previous year GDP. Okay. So here, compared to these 2 years, there has been increase. These 2 years, there have been increase by 7%. Here, increase by 6.1%. Here, increase by, from 139, increase, 4.2 increase. It became 143. But here, from 143, decreased by 7.7%. So, 134. That's it. Don't confuse yourself. Okay, don't get complicated. Okay, we are coming. This is just basics only. I'm not. So, we are really entering to the topic now only. Just I'm telling you the concept. Yes. Yes. The prices is calculated in relation to 11, 12. Don't forget about base year is price only. In between you went out, I think. Don't bring that, okay. That prices only. See, in every year, quantity is the same. Quantity of goods and services is the same. Means whether it is nominal or real. Whether it is nominal or real, quantity is the same. Only the prices. What is the difference? For example, I'll tell you, in 2021, see, I'm just showing, see these 2 years. This is real GDP and this is nominal GDP. 2021. So, I'm showing nominal GDP also. See, in nominal GDP, what is the GDP value? 194.81 lakh crore. This is nominal GDP. This is real GDP. But in real GDP of 2021, both the cases, quantity is the same. So, every financial year, the quantity of goods and services produced will be the same. But why the difference? Here 134 and why 194? Here it is the current year price. This is 2011-12 price. Okay, till this I have shown you only real GDP. See, I am just again comparing. See 1920. See 1920 nominal GDP. 143. Here it is 203. This is nominal GDP, this is real GDP. Again, here also nominal GDP also declined. Now see, nominal GDP also declined from 203.89 to 194.89, but the decline is minus 4.2%. Nominal GDP contracted by, but that will not be mentioned in the newspaper. Newspaper will not give highlighted. Highlighted is this one only, real GDP only. But why I am saying this here now? Because it is important for the finance minister to present the budget. Because finance minister is considering nominal GDP. So these things you keep in mind, okay? Again, in the current, what's the current trend is that budget is now. I'm not telling the previous, they will not ask you what is currently. The last few years, budget is presented on 1st February 2021. Okay, so you have to. So anyway, when the news comes, as a student, you are supposed to read. You will understand. You have to see that what is the finance minister going to do in this year's budget. Many things will be mentioned in this year's budget because of the 2021 impact. What is 2021 impact in economic point of view? It is a recession. Okay. So this basics you keep in mind.